Hey everyone. Hello, my name is Rand Swift. I am an artist who lives in the Seattle area, and I'm also the developer of a site called the Rand Stream, which is a multi-channel internet broadcasting entity. One of the channels in the Rand Stream is Speakeasy Arts TV. And in Speakeasy Arts, that's where we deal with artist questions, artist interviews, art projects, all of the above and more. And so we are in the process of developing this now. And what I want to do today, I want to talk a little bit about a piece of my own artwork. And in Speakeasy Arts TV, the whole idea is to tap into the creative mindset and processes of artists and share them. So if you know an artist who would like some exposure and needs some marketing, let us know. We'd love to work with them and do an interview and then help them promote their work. So a little while ago, I was thinking about Shoeless Joe Jackson. And what I'm going to share with you is a picture that I did of Shoeless Joe, a baseball player around the early 1900s. In fact, Shoeless Joe got his name because in the minor leagues when he was playing, he bought a new pair of shoes and they were so tight on his feet, he was an outfielder, that he took his shoes off and played the rest of the game without his shoes. And so, as things go, he got nicknamed Shoeless Joe Jackson. But there's something else about Shoeless Joe that I think is important to know. And Shoeless Joe was one of the players in the 1919 World Series who was accused of throwing the World Series. Now, let me tell you that Joe was exonerated later on because when you looked at the way Joe played in that World Series, Joe did what Joe did. He batted .375 and he played flawlessly in the outfield. So there was nothing that they could look at and say, we think Joe could have played better here, could have played better there. We think he threw the ball away in this instance. Didn't happen. And that's why he was exonerated. And sometimes I do pieces just because there are things that just get you. For example, we have, how many times do we see in the news where some guy has been in prison for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, or more sometimes, and then all of a sudden there's new evidence that comes out, and we find out that the whole thing was a sham, that the man was falsely accused. Say, oh, new evidence. Oh, sorry, you're free to go. Sorry about the incarceration. And, there is something that's written into the code of the universe that tells us don't bear false witness against your neighbor. You destroy lives. And that's kind of what happened with Shoeless Joe. He was banished from baseball. And the owners used that incident in 1919 to bring in a commissioner and gain much more control over the lives of the players. That's a whole nother story. So we've got a picture here, and it's Shoeless Joe Jackson. And what I used, I started this picture after it was kind of like playing around. And Daniel Smith came out with Daniel Smith watercolor inks, not watercolor inks, excuse me, walnut ink. You can see it right there. Daniel Smith, walnut ink. And I got a hold of some of this stuff and I started playing with it, and I decided to develop this picture of Shoeless Joe Jackson, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So I used walnut ink. Application wise, I used some of these Niji brushes. In this one I happen to have walnut ink. You can kind of see it in there rolling around, and I usually keep two of these with me, and one of them I keep just plain water. Absolutely fun, and travel easy. You can go anywhere, do a sketch, outline it, and then work it from there. The cool thing about walnut ink is that if I wanted to layer it and layer it and layer it, I could get it as dark as that color right there. The other thing I can do with it is if I want to dilute it slightly, I can do that, and I can lighten it. And basically what I did in this picture with Shoeless Joe is I did a sketch, and then I came back in with the walnut ink, and then I came back in with water and started to develop in all my shadows and my shadings and different things. And you'll see also, as the process goes along, that I came in with an array of watercolor pencils, because as I progressed, I realized this needs some color. And so in the Shoeless Joe Jackson picture, I can assure you we did not use pink and we did not use magenta, but we used a number of other colors. At the time, I was not really familiar with watercolor itself, and so that was a little intimidating. But the pencils, I knew how to use the pencils. So I'm going to show you here some of the pictures as this process of doing Shoeless Joe developed. And I got to click on a few things. We're going to do some screen sharing. And let me go ahead and pull out some of these pictures. This is the finished product of Shoeless Joe, and I was really proud of it. And again, it was just an experiment playing with walnut ink. But one of the cool things that happened is after I was done and I put it out and hung it on a wall, a guy came in and gave me $400 just for having a fun experiment and showing off Shoeless Joe. So if you notice here, let me go back there. If you notice here, there are a number of elements that had to come together. I had to get, of course, a picture of Joe. I had to get a signature representation, and I had to find some shoes because that was what I had in mind. I wanted to have shoes off to the side here, kind of representational of Joe and his story. And then if you'll notice, around Joe's head, we have a halo, because Joe was exonerated, as I said, but never allowed back into baseball. So to bring some of those things together, I had to go searching for an appropriate picture of Joe. And this one wasn't really what I was looking for. There's other ones of Joe hitting. He was a fantastic hitter. In fact, his rookie year, and this has never been done since, Joe in his rookie year in the major leagues batted, I think it was 407, something like that. Just phenomenal. Never been done since. And this is what I finally came to. This is a picture of Joe that is similar, as you can see, to the one I used. And I actually found this one too, same pose, only it's a photograph. And I liked this, and I hung this on my easel because it gave me more of an idea of the grayscales and the tones that I needed to have. So as we went along, okay, I found the picture of the shoes that I needed. That was incorporated into it. And then we had to have a signature. So I found a picture of an autographed baseball with Joe Jackson's name on it. And so as we went, one of the critical factors obviously was going to be Joe's face. And here you can see where I've gone, and I did the sketch, and then I came in and I just essentially went over the lines that I had drawn with the walnut ink. And then as we go, we can see where that's been developed further: the glove, the belt, the bat, the hands, and the background lines for the baseball field that he was playing in. And then we can see here, as we develop the halo, more of Joe's facial features are coming into perspective, and that gets strengthened again as we go. And this is pretty close to the final. So that is, again, the final, and that's the one that the guy fell in love with and asked me if I'd take $400 for it, which I did. So let me go back there just for a second. One of the cool things about art is that even though I sold this as a one-off picture of Shoeless Joe Jackson, the cool thing about art is, as an artist, I retain all the rights of reproduction. And so one of the things, you do a piece of work once and you can do multiple things with it. And in this instance, we're able to do, if you wanted it, I could do you a phone case of Shoeless Joe Jackson. Other opportunities are shower curtain. One of the amazing things is home designers, if they're doing a special area of a house, might like things like this in order to bring different decorating touches into it. Hey, there's a throw pillow. We can do, if you're heading out to the ball game, why not take a Shoeless Joe Jackson tote bag along with you? Or, and this is my favorite, how about a Shoeless Joe Jackson t-shirt? All of these things, let me do the click off the stop sharing and get these photos out of our way. I think I can do that this way as well. We'll pull this right up. So anyway, artists, so fun, and I'm just sold completely on the Daniel Smith walnut ink and the whole process of the cool Niji brushes. And we are, like I said, we are developing Speakeasy Arts TV, and we'll have more segments like this where artists are going to talk about their work and their process. And I've tried to make this one nice and short and sweet and to the point to kind of give you a taste and a flavor for what's to come in the future. I really appreciate your time and hope you got something out of the process of Shoeless Joe Jackson. And if you are interested as an artist, or if you know of an artist, now we're not just dealing with visual artists, we're dealing with artists, we're dealing with musicians, we're dealing with writers, we are doing interviews with poets, and anybody in the creative fields, which could even be culinary, the culinary fields. This is what Speakeasy Arts TV is all about. Showcasing artists, showcasing the whole process of creativity, and then giving them help with marketing as well, because the links for these are not only good for our own site, but they can be given out to the artists as well, so they can promote themselves. So thanks again for watching. I hope this was at least a little fun and informative, and God bless.